Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma for those of you who are new, and I would love it if you guys subscribed and stuck around. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, we're just going to be sitting down and chatting about all the books that I read in January, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys my February TBR for this month. So, I'm not going to make this intro too long. I just want to go ahead and get into it, but be sure to like this video, comment down below your February TBR or the books that you read in January, and follow me on my bookstagram, Instagram, you know the drill. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this video. I'm also wearing pajamas right now. I got these at Marshall's a couple weeks ago because I just wanted a pair of like cozy, cute pajamas for like Valentine's Day in February because I wear my black long sleeve pajamas all the time. But I also wore my black pajamas in my January TBR video, so I thought I would just wear these because I'm going to be featuring a lot of romance books in this video, obviously. So let's just go ahead and get into all the books that I read in January. So if you watched my January TBR in 2023 reading goals video, I'll link that in the cards and down below. I wanted to read 8 books, but I only got around to reading 6 of them. So 8 was pretty ambitious to start the year, I'm not gonna lie. I want to read 100 books this year, so I was like, if I read like 8 to 10 books every month, January through December, I should be good to go. But obviously it's gonna be like give or take, like I'll read more one month and less another month. So, you know, 8 was kind of ambitious for me, but 6 I would say is starting off the year pretty well, and I've already read 2 from my February TBR. So the books that I didn't get around to last month were The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake and The Lonely City by Olivia Lang. So I'm just gonna put these off to the side and put them on like the bottom of my reading cart here, just so I can get around to them if I end up finishing all the books on my February TBR. But my February TBR is even more ambitious than my January one, which you will see here in a little bit. I did read 6 books that I will go ahead and chat with you guys about. I need to pull up my Goodreads because I feel like January felt like so long ago, even though it's only been like a week or so since January. But I honestly don't even remember reading some of these books. Like, January feels like a fever dream, honestly. So the first book I read in January, I actually started at the end of December, like December 28th or 29th-ish, but I didn't get around to finishing it until the beginning of January just because of the holidays and work and spending time with family, yada yada yada. But this is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I gave this a 4 out of 5 star rating on Goodreads. This is about Bea Hobbs, who is a porn star under the name of Bianca Von Honey, and she wants to be an actress. So she gets this gig on the Hope Channel, which is like the equivalent of the Hallmark Channel, and she has to sign a morality clause, so basically no one can know that she is an adult film actress. And her co-star on the show is none other than Nolan Shaw. He is a like bad boy reputation ex-boy band member, and he's actually Bee's like biggest childhood crush, and he's also a big fan of her adult film work, if you know what I mean. But basically both of them are trying to sort of build new reputations for themselves. So it's kind of just a love story, a merry little meet cute, as the name says. This book was just honestly super cute. I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about it. Obviously there was a lot of sex and a lot of smut in this book, which I typically don't normally mind, and it just makes sense because of Bee's profession outside of acting. But if you're not into that, like, do not pick up this book. Like, very, very smutty. I've never read a book like this before, and it was honestly hilarious in my opinion, and it didn't look down on Bea in any sort of way for being a sex worker, which I also really enjoyed. And I think there's like a couple other books coming out about some of the other characters in this book. And I also love one of the authors is actually from Kansas City, so they made Nolan from Kansas City, and like he went home in the books and there was like a little like Kansas City skyline like somewhere in the book, and I love that because I'm from Kansas City. So Kansas City, Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri is very, very close to my heart, and I'm hoping to move to KC soon. So just a really, really cute book all around, and a great way to start off the year with just a lighthearted, fun read. Okay, next up we have The Score by Elle Kennedy. This is the 3rd in the Off Campus series, and I believe I gave this a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I love Elle Kennedy's work. I rate her like so high just because I literally fly through her books. Like, I sit down and I can read them in 1 or 2 sittings, and I just don't really have to think much when I read her books. But the Off-Campus series, if you're unfamiliar, is about Briar University and their hockey team. So all of the male characters are on the hockey team, and the girl characters just somehow, you know, make their way into the book. But this book follows Allie and Dean, and Dean is like the biggest like douchebag on the Briar U hockey team, like the biggest player, and Allie is an aspiring actress, and they basically have a one-night stand. Allie wants nothing to do with him after that. She just wants to keep it low-key and stay friends, but Dean is like persistent in like wanting to be with her. Yeah, this one is just super cute. I think it's my favorite of the Off-Campus series thus far. I only have 2 more books in this series, and then I just read one of the first Briar U books. It's like a spin-off of the Off-Campus series, and I really enjoyed it, so I definitely recommend Elle Kennedy. She's nothing groundbreaking or anything, but I can always just fly through her books. So, okay, the next book I read in January is Twisted Love. This is the first book in the Twisted series by Anna Huang, and I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I really did not like this book, and I don't know if it's so much as the writing style or just the trope of this book. I just really didn't like. This is about Ava. She is a college student and photographer, and basically her brother's best friend, her older brother's best friend, basically becomes her protector because her brother moves away on business, and so he vows to protect Ava while her brother is gone, and basically takes it a little bit too far. He starts to develop feelings for her, and he's just very, not even protective, just controlling and all of that sort of thing. And he has this like MO that he's had for like years that involves Ava's family, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I just did not like the writing or the trope of this book. But I've heard that the other 3 books in the Twisted series are a lot better, so I'm going to pick up the next one, see if I like it, and maybe pick up the other ones. But I just was not a fan of the first book, but I think it's just because I did not like Alex as a character. So 2 out of 5 stars, not the best rating, but it did not ruin my reads for the month. But the next book definitely redeemed itself after Twisted Love. I have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and I posted an entire reading vlog about this, and I posted about it on my Bookstagram, so I'm just not going to say very much about this. But I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I just cannot stop thinking about this book, and I cannot wait to read the other ones. I picked up the box set. For the rest of them, if you watched my last book haul, I'll link it in the cards and down below, and I'm so excited. I'm definitely going to read A Court of Mist and Fury hopefully this month. You'll see it in the TBR portion of the video, but I don't want to talk a whole lot about this. But I absolutely love this book, and it really made me want to get more into fantasy and fantasy romance as well. So definitely give me some fantasy or fantasy romance book recs, please. But I think I'm a Sarah J. Maas fan, and I'm definitely an ACOTAR stan now. I can't wait to read the rest of the books. Okay, the next book I have is Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the second book in the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and I gave this a 2 out of 5 on Goodreads. And it's not because it was a bad book, I just had a really hard time getting into it. I really liked the first book. It was about Lily and Lo's romance. Basically, Lily is a sex addict and Lo is an alcoholic, and they basically started as like a fake dating kind of romance to hide their addictions from their families. They're very wealthy families, but they sort of just enabled each other, and it got so bad in the first book that they both had to sort of take a step back, and now they're trying to work on their addictions. So Ricochet is about that. It's basically Lily working through her addiction, going to therapy while she's away from Lo, who has checked himself into rehab. And then this is the first book that you really start to see glimpses into the other Calloway sisters. The Calloway sisters and Addicted to You are like kind of the same, I guess. I said in my last book haul that I thought they had combined, but I think they're just different, and you have to read them in like certain orders. So I think there's one more Addicted book after this, and then you start the Calloway Sisters series. I'm not really sure, I need to look into it, but I gave this a 2 out of 5 just because I didn't really love it as much, but I'm hoping the next one is better. I'm really intrigued to read the rest of the series and see how their addictions play out, how they get better, and I definitely want to read the Calloway Sisters and learn more about Rose and Poppy and Daisy. So, but I think I gave the first Addicted book like a 4, so this one was just a miss for me, but I'm hoping the next ones are good. Okay, and the last book that I read in January is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 star rating on Goodreads, only because the first like 100 or so pages for me, it was so hard to get into. I don't know if it's because it's a YA book and I don't read YA very often, or if it was just because like it really took that long to get the ball rolling. But after that, I absolutely loved this book. This is basically about Avery Grahams. She is a very intelligent young student who is in school. She's trying to work her way through school and get to a scholarship, and she's also very poor. She lives with her half-sister, I think, or stepsister, who has a very abusive boyfriend, and basically she gets the chance of a lifetime when she's invited to the Hawthorne house, and she's inherited like $46.2 billion or something like that from Tobias Hawthorne. And Tobias has 4 grandsons that are also very intelligent and into riddles and games. Basically, she inherits $46.2 million, right? Or like basically is just like the heiress of this crazy fortune. And she has to live in the Hawthorne house for a year, and then she starts to develop feelings for 2 of the Hawthorne brothers. And I don't know, there's a lot, like so many people are a fan of this, so I don't want to say anything wrong because I'm so new to the Hawthorne universe. But I'm so excited to pick up the next 2 books, and then I think there's like a spin-off book coming out about 2 of the Hawthorne brothers. I think Grayson and Jameson, is that his name? Yeah. So anyways, I actually really liked this book like halfway through, but the first like 100 pages or so were kind of slow for me to get into, but I loved it after that. So okay, so those are all the books that I read in January of 2023. I didn't get around to reading as much as I wanted to, but my February TBR is already off to a great start. I've already read 2 books and I'm about to start the 3rd book today, and I'm just like super excited about all of my February reads. I feel like I sort of hit a slump in like the end of January just because I was so excited to pick up the books that I wanted to read in February. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the February TBR portion of this video. So my February TBR is back here. I turned it around so I couldn't spoil it for you guys. These are all on my February TBR, but there's some that I absolutely 100% want to read, and then there's other ones that are just like hopefuls that if I get around to it, I will. But I'm filming a specific video in February that I'm super excited about involving Sarah Caroli and her book recs. So I'm hoping I can get around to filming that. I honestly forgot and I already read one of the books for that video, but hopefully we can start again when I start reading my other book today and start that reading vlog and sort of piece it all together. Yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. Also, these aren't in order of like when I'm gonna read them. I'm just pulling them because I've already read a couple books on here. I just don't know where they are. But the first book is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is number 2 in the ACOTAR series, and I'm just so excited to read it. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and people say that this is probably their favorite in the series because you get to see Feyre's and Rhysand's like love, and I'm just so excited. I feel like I'm not gonna like Tamlin after this book, obviously, but I'm excited to see the new romance develop and learn more things about the fairylands and all of that sort of thing. I also just love the cover of this book, so I'm so excited to read this. I'm gonna read another book for that video that I'm filming, and then I'm probably going to read this one and film a reading vlog just separately of this one because I loved filming my ACOTAR reading vlog. So I'm also not going to save the Goodreads ratings for all of these just because I had a lot of them in my last book haul and would honestly be here like way too long if I did that, so I'm just gonna roll through them. Okay, next up is a book that I actually finished yesterday. This is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, and this is the first book out of, I'm not really sure how many in the Magnolia Parks universe. And you guys, I think this might be my new favorite book series. I know I've only read one of the books, or at least like romance series, but I'm obsessed. I absolutely love this. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Oh, I probably shouldn't spoil that because that's going to be my February wrap up, but if you follow me on Goodreads you already know that. But I'm absolutely obsessed with this book, and I am on a book buying ban for the month of February, but you best believe when it hits March 1st midnight, I'm going to be ordering the rest of these books. So excited to read the rest of this universe. I might film a reading vlog for the other ones, but I'm obsessed with this series. It's like London, England, high society, Gossip Girl, all that. I want to give you guys all of my thoughts on this book, but I'm just going to wait until my February wrap up. So, but definitely pick this one up. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, next up, this is a book that I'm actually going to be starting today. This is By a Thread by Lucy Score. I got this book recommendation from Sarah Caroli. I talked about like what it's about in my book haul, which you can go watch. I'm just a sucker for a romantic comedy. This is a grumpy boss romantic comedy. So grumpy sunshine, workplace, enemies to lovers romance. I'm just so excited. The cover is also just the cutest darn thing I've seen in my life. It matches my PJs perfect, but so excited to read this, and I've heard nothing but good things about Lucy Score and her writing. Okay, another Sarah Caroli book rec. This is Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney, and I will be recording a reading vlog for this one and filming my reactions for you guys, but I just thought I would work some thriller into this month just because I have a lot of romance because it's February, and February is the perfect time to read romance. I mean, all year long is the perfect time to read romance, but especially February, hence the festive PJs. But excited to read that one. I've heard nothing but good things. Okay, next up we have The Chase by Elle Kennedy. This is the first in the Briar U series. I also talked about this in my last book haul, but I've already read this one and it was super good. I really enjoyed it, and I just cannot wait to pick up the rest of the Off-Campus series and the Briar U series. And then I also love the Avalon Bay series by Elle Kennedy. It's her latest series. I have Good Girl Complex and Bad Girl Reputation, and she's releasing another one I think in June or July, so I'm excited to pick that one up as well. I forget what it's called, but I think I'm gonna be talking about it in another video. I want to film like my most anticipated releases of 2023, and yeah, I think that's going to be in that video. But next up we have If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. This is a YA book that I also saw Sarah Caroli talk about, and I'm going to be filming my thoughts on this one this month as well. I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared for this book. I've heard like mixed reviews. So from Sarah, I've heard that she absolutely loves it, and like some people on Goodreads say that they really like it, but I've also heard from a couple other like smaller booktubers that I watch that this honestly like isn't that great of a book. So I'm kind of hoping that I like it because, like I said earlier, I'm not the biggest YA person. Like I don't really read a lot of YA books, but I'm excited to read it nonetheless, and I hope it doesn't break me too much. Okay, next up, you guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about Sarah Caroli. Actually, no, she's amazing. Like, why are you even watching my video? Click out and go watch hers and subscribe to hers if you don't already. But this is Darling Venom by Parker S. Huntington. She read this in a reading vlog I think a couple months ago or something like that, and I've wanted to pick it up ever since, and I bought it at Barnes & Noble a couple weeks ago. So excited to read this one, but I heard that this one is also sad, but it's also a romance, which is just right up my alley. Okay, next up, this is the last book that I absolutely want to get around to reading this month because I feel like this month is the perfect month for this book, and I want to film a reading vlog of it. This is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This has been on my bookshelf for literal months, like 6 months or something like that, and I'm just so excited to read it. I hear nothing but good things about it, and I've read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and people say that like this was the blueprint for that book, so I'm so excited to read this one and film a reading vlog of it. Hopefully you guys will see that this month. I feel like I'm absolutely gonna love that one because I love second chance romances. Yeah, I'm just ready to feel something and have my heart be all warm and fuzzy. So yeah, these are all the books that I absolutely want to get around to reading in February, and I'm off to a good start because I've already read 2 of them. But I also have some other like hopefuls because I am just very ambitious this month, clearly. But I have some other hopefuls just in case like I am not in the mood to read one of these books, or I finish reading these like super quick and I want to read something else. And these are also kind of like in the love sort of category. We have Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. This one just sounds so cute, and if I don't get around to reading this month, because I feel like this is like the cutest read ever for the month of February, like the cover in my pajamas is just the cutest thing ever. But if I don't get around to reading it this month, I'm saving this one for October because this just sounds so cute and gives like the spooky vibes that you should read in the fall, but it's romance, which is amazing. Next up, I feel like I absolutely have to read this book this month. Like, the fact that I haven't read it yet and I've had it for over a year is just insane. I don't know why I keep avoiding this book, but this is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have this book and I have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, and I know she just released like a combination of like novellas or something, and she's also releasing another book sometime in the next couple of months. So I feel like I 100% need to read this book. Like, people rave about this and rave about Ali Hazelwood's writing like in the romance world, so maybe we'll just have to go ahead and read that book this month. Okay, next up I have 100 Other Girls by Aman Herrera Kia, I believe is her name, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna get around to reading this book this month, but this was just on my hopefuls list because it just sounds so cute. And I was in New York City a couple months ago and I already miss it, so I need to plan another trip back. But this one is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino, and I've heard nothing but good things about this book. This one is also set in New York, and it's a secondhand romance. Not a secondhand romance, a second chance romance, Emma. But I will definitely get around to this one if I finish all of my other books this month. And then last but not least, at the top of my hopefuls list is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I remember picking this up the day that it came out, and I was like, I'm gonna read this today. And then like flash forward months and months and months later, it's still on my bookshelf, untouched and unread. So I heard that this one is like so good, like so good. So maybe we'll read it, maybe we won't, but yeah. Okay guys, that is it for this video. That's all the books that I read in January, and then my very ambitious February TBR. I am so determined to read at least all the books that I planned for myself, and then hopefully maybe one or two of the hopefuls, just because I've been flying through books lately, and I feel like romance books are the easiest to fly through unless they're like super duper bad and they put you in a slump or whatever. But that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for my thoughts on all of the books that I read in February. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.